My name is Jack Nelson from Stewart Investors. I'm here with Fiona Mavinga and Emily Zemke from CAMFED, the Campaign for Female Education. The Sustainable Funds Group at Stewart Investors has been spending a bit of time interacting with CAMFED, trying to learn more about sustainable development in Africa and the work that CAMFED is doing. Emily is the Director of Development for CAMFED, and Fiona is the advisor and one of the founding members of the CAMFED Association. So today we're going to learn a bit more about CAMFED and the work that it does. Emily, I wonder if we could start, maybe you could give us a bit of background, history and context to what is CAMFED, where did it start, and a bit of an overview of the organisation.
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, sure. CAMFED was founded 26 years ago with the intent of challenging the received wisdom at the time that girls in sub-Saharan Africa were out of school for cultural reasons. Over that time, it's grown from a bake sale for 32 women to a social movement that has helped more than 4.1 million succeed in school. It is led through grassroots activism and leadership. It identifies and targets the most vulnerable children living in rural poverty. And it provides holistic support in the form of material supplies and psychosocial resources throughout school and beyond as young women transition into employment and enterprise. Today, CAMFED works in 5 countries in sub-Saharan Africa: Zambia, Zimbabwe, Ghana, Malawi, and Tanzania. There are 157,000 young women who are members of an alumni network called the CAMFED Association, and we have 140,000 volunteers in our network of community champions. CAMFED has 300 staff, 250 of those are based in Africa out of the national offices.
And Fiona, I wonder if you could tell us a bit about your experiences with CAMFED and how these interventions affect Africa and life in rural places in these countries.
Thank you very much, Jack. So I am privileged to be one of the first young women that was supported by CAMFED through their education. And in 1998, I joined the CAMFED Association. So the CAMFED Association brings together the alumni of CAMFED support into this unique and growing network of young African women from marginalized communities who are working to break the cycle of poverty for good. How did the CAMFED Association come to be, and what was the idea behind it? So what happened was in July 1998 in Harare, Zimbabwe, CAMFED brought together this first group of young women who had completed secondary school with its support. The idea was to celebrate the fact that they had completed secondary school against the odds, especially looking at the background where they were coming from. And I was there as part of that meeting 22 years ago. In November 1997, I completed high school. I had achieved the highest passes for my school and my province. I had achieved 3 advanced level distinctions. And under normal circumstances, I was destined to be for easy entry into university, really. But I knew that there was no way my family would be able to take me to college or to university. And I wanted to also start supporting my family by earning money. I tried to get an unqualified teacher position in my district. But after struggling to get money to put together and submit the application form, I still did not get the position. I then left my village to go to the capital city, Harare, with one mission. And that mission was to look for CAMFED offices, show them my results, and ask for support to further my education. CAMFED immediately agreed to support me to go to university. And while I was waiting for university to open, I was offered a cleaner position at the organization that housed CAMFED offices in Zimbabwe at that time. And it was during that time that CAMFED was planning to bring together graduates of its support. And I worked alongside Lucy Lake, who is now CEO of CAMFED, to coordinate that meeting. The first 400 young women attended, and it emerged during the 2 days of that meeting that as young women from poor families and marginalized backgrounds, we were finding the post-school transition very difficult. We had graduated from secondary school into a context of high unemployment, fewer opportunities, and a context where women had no agency really, and were vulnerable to early marriage, high HIV infections, and exploitation, among other things. We were isolated without support, and our transition was, in my perspective, very precarious, and the investment in our education was at risk. But we realized also during those 2 days that there was power in us coming together. We would no longer be isolated, marginalized, or without support. And more importantly, we thought that we could use our experiences and acute awareness of exclusion to support the next generation of girls that was coming after us. So with CAMFED support, I got into law school at the University of Zimbabwe. There were 4 other young women who were being supported by CAMFED at my university, and we helped each other through university, and we acted as big sisters and role models to the next group that were joining our university. And the CAMFED Association really became a family to me, and the bonds have grown very strong over the years. We are now from 400 young women in Zimbabwe. We have grown to over 157,000 members across 5 countries, and we are projected to grow to 280,000 in the next 5 years. We are young women in various professions, including medicine, law. We have young women in engineering. We have young women who are teaching, who are in the police, in the Ministry of Justice. And we now work with CAMFED and our stakeholders in our communities to position girls' education appropriately. In that way, you could say that we are both an outcome and enabler of CAMFED support.
That's fantastic. This culture of paying it forward and helping out the next generation is fascinating and inspiring. I wonder if you could tell us a bit more about this idea of the multiplier effect, this sense that, you know, an intervention today can yield positive results, not just for this cohort of girls, but years into the future as well.
Indeed. So the CAMFED Association members that I am part of, we are truly a testament of the power of education to transform lives, to transform communities, because we are paying forward with the investment that was done in our education. We are supporting others in our families. For example, I have supported my siblings to go to school. I've supported members of my extended family to go to school. I've supported members of the family that I married into to also go to school. So you find that by educating one person, you are educating many others. On average, each member within our CAMFED Association supports 3 other children go to school. That's an average number, but we have members who are supporting up to 20, 25 members to go to school. I'll give you an example of a young woman called Alice, a CAMFED Association member in Zambia. She has so far supported 11 other children to be able to go to school just by CAMFED supporting, taking her from grade 8 in Zambia secondary education to grade 12, and later supporting her into university where she completed. And now she has gone back to her community and she's supporting others to go to school. So we're seeing this multiplier effect of just supporting one to be able to educate others. We are now breaking the vicious cycle of poverty and creating a virtuous cycle that keeps on giving back and creating sustainable development and sustainable change and a new narrative in our communities.
And maybe I could just say a few words to add to that, which is that there is absolutely no obligation on any of the members of our CAMFED Association to pay back and give forward the opportunity they've been given. That is something they self-elect to do. And it's our job as CAMFED to try and keep up with the infrastructure and systems to enable these empowered young women to support the next generation. And that is what we are racing to achieve, because they have such momentum and drive and passion for this change that we have to do our absolute best to make sure that we don't let them down.
Yes, the passion that we have to give back is absolutely voluntary. We are driven by this passion. We were supported through our education. We can see ourselves in the circumstances that the marginalized girls are in because we were there before. We have been to school without shoes. We know what it means to be send back home for fees when your parents have not paid. We know what it means to be at school without the necessary stationery that supports your learning. So we're really ready to step up because we do not want to leave anyone behind.
Fiona, I wonder if you could tell us a bit about the challenges which CAMFED faces going into new communities, into new rural areas where perhaps CAMFED hasn't worked before, and how the organization and the association goes about building trust with key stakeholders.
So the long-standing principle of CAMFED is partnership with the local community and local authority. CAMFED doesn't go into a community to solve the community's challenges or problems, but it goes into a community to work with it so that the community is at the forefront of solving its own challenges.
In terms of the impact CAMFED's having, Emily, I wondered if you could tell us a bit about how you measure that impact, any challenges in capturing that, and what trends you see in the data.
Thanks, Jack. Measuring is really integral to all of our work, and through the network of volunteers that Fiona has been describing, we collect data and in fact triangulate the data we do collect to check for accuracy. And that means that we can capture information on every girl who we've supported through secondary school, what she receives on a centralized cloud-based database. And it starts with the challenges she's faced, for example, her living conditions, her domestic arrangements, and what she needs to attend school. And it follows through her education and beyond, including beyond school to the decisions she makes around marriage and motherhood. And we have shown over the years through evidence of impact at school and beyond school and in the cost effectiveness and the scalability of our approach. So, for example, one evaluation shows girls reached by CAMFED show more than double the rate of learning in literacy than girls in comparison schools, and nearly 5 times the rate in maths. We've also seen reductions in school dropout, greater resilience among marginalised girls, and enhanced self-belief. Beyond school, our programs are expanding young women's opportunities for training and education and enterprise, and increasing their decision-making powers over household finances and decisions about family planning and marriage. Results from one of our evaluations in Tanzania showed an increase by 6 times in the income of a young woman participating in our enterprise mentoring program. Last month, the University of Cambridge produced a report on the cost effectiveness of our program in Tanzania, and it showed that focusing on particularly on the needs of marginalized girls was of benefit to everyone and should become a priority for international aid. And that follows an earlier study by the same group at the University of Cambridge showing that CAMFED's program provides the equivalent of an extra 2 years of schooling for every $100 spent. Possibly, though, the most important outcome is that 79% of the 1.2 million girls reached by CAMFED over the last 5 years were financially supported by members of the CAMFED Association and community members. And it's this combination of community leadership integrated with government school systems that makes our model so resilient and scalable, and in fact was recognized by the OECD as best practice in taking development innovation to scale.
Great, thank you, Emily. Fiona, I wondered if we might talk a bit about what it is about female education targeting disadvantaged, which has such powerful impacts on sustainable development.
We know that women typically reinvest 90% of their earnings back into their families and communities. And this creates a multiplier effect that we spoke about earlier, as the initial investment in girls' education is augmented over time as she pays forward that opportunity to others. Within the CAMFED Association, each of our members is supporting another 3 girls on average to go to school. And with the strategic investment that we are anticipating over the next 5 years, we expect to see that number grow to 5. And besides the financial reinvestment, CAMFED Association members or educated young women cascade their learning and expertise to others to share not just their confidence, but also their values within their peer network.
And perhaps I might add to that briefly on the environmental impacts of girls' education. Research shows that we stand to achieve an 85 gigaton reduction in CO2 by 2050 through investing in girls' education and providing women with access to family planning. And this isn't just about stemming population growth. Outcomes from our pilot of 8,500 people show that with targeted training, smallholder farmers can increase their yield by 3 times. At scale, higher yields can, from the same farmland can avoid further land clearances and deforestation, supporting carbon sequestration. Furthermore, each of our agriculture trainers is creating, on average, 4 paid jobs, which is vital in a context where climate resilience is intrinsically linked to productive livelihoods. So our grassroots leaders are building business ecosystems that champion ethical productivity and resilience to climate change.
Absolutely. One of the most fascinating aspects of CAMFED from our perspective in trying to learn about the way organizations like your own work in markets is this intersectionality, the idea that CAMFED is benefiting not just gender equality and social justice, but the economy, entrepreneurship, family planning, and that that intervention really has so many sustainable development outcomes, not just the single point of contact with female education. The impact really ripple out in all directions across the community and across the landscape, which is amazing. I wonder if I might ask, where would you like to see the organization in 5 years' time? What would success look like from here?
So the CAMFED Association currently stands at 157,000 members. And over the next 5 years, it's our intent to grow that community to 280,000 members. And we're on a strong trajectory to making that happen. And as we've talked about with the multiplier effect, each of those young women is helping another 3. And with strategic investments targeted at growing business capacity, increasing our mentoring program, and specific bursary support for girls through school, we believe that multiplier effect can be increased to ×5 within 5 years. And through the various holistic programs that we've described to you today, through social and material support, we are confident that we can reach 5 million girls and ensure that they are supported not just on a one-off basis, but to succeed and thrive in school and set them on a trajectory to financial independence.
Fiona, Emily, thank you so much for your time today and for recording this webcast. It's been fascinating for us to learn more about your organization, the work you're doing, and the impact you're having on the ground in Africa. And I'm sure our clients will be fascinated as well.
Thank you very much, Jake. On behalf of the CAMFED Association members across 5 countries in Africa, the 157,000 of us, I would like to say thank you to all the supporters of the CAMFED vision. I believe that together we can achieve a world in which every child is educated, protected, respected and valued, and grows up to turn the tide of poverty, just as we have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack, and thanks to everybody on the team for making this happen.